originally from Manila, but now I live in Los Angeles.
How is it like living in the Philippines as a biracial person?
So I'm Indian and Filipino, but I primarily grew up in Manila. I was raised Filipina. I was never in tune with my Indian side just because we lived in the Philippines almost all my life. So when I was growing up, I thought that all the characteristics, all the things that I felt were more relating to like the Filipino culture and stuff. But when I came to America, I realized that that's just half of me. And what I was able to discover moving here is that there's another part of me that was always confused because a lot of the times I also felt a little like outcasted because of my skin color or because of just certain traits and parts of me that weren't per se like Filipino. But when I moved here, through work actually, I was able to discover like my Indian roots and to be immersed in that environment, which I feel like really opened my eyes and like helped me bring together like those two characteristics that are actually already a part of me. So growing up there, I pretty much had horse eyes because I was growing up with just one part of me, and now that I came to America, like it seemed to open up this other part of me, which I have yet to discover because there's so much more to just what we see. And I feel like coming into that and maybe exploring a part of that, maybe visiting my family in India, which I have never really met, will open doors and show me who I really am.
What brought you to the US?
So at first, I didn't want to really move because all my friends and family were back home. But my dad actually gave me this opportunity, and he was just like, you know what, like you should, since you have this opportunity, you should try your skills elsewhere. You should try to maybe move to another country in order for you to have more opportunities. Also, because of previous trauma, I just decided to be like, one day, like, fuck it. I'm just gonna go to America and see what's out there for me. And yeah, that's why I moved.
What did you discover or realize throughout the immigration process that you didn't expect?
Well, I realized how hard it was to come to America and get a job and move from a completely different country without anything. I definitely had to take a lot of steps in order for me to get to this place. It wasn't easy. It was visa after visa. I had to find my bearings. I couldn't work like legally for a certain part, but yeah, the whole process is actually just very difficult if someone's not sponsoring you. So it took me about 11 years to become a citizen, and as much as it's, as much time it takes to get there, I still am proud that I was able to get there because of the continuous like work and support that my friends and family have put into this. And yeah, it's just, some people don't know how privileged they are to be sponsored, and this journey isn't really easy. So immigrating here it was really hard.
What do you like about running your own business?
What I love about running my own business is I do get to work on my own time. I get to be the creative director of all the projects that I do. I like giving people opportunities. I like collaborating and working with people, so that's also one of the big reasons why I like running my own business. And just the fact that I can voice out whatever creativity is in me and pour it onto the content that's necessary or needed for other people. And especially with my job as like a wedding videographer, I feel like it's super important to capture moments. And I feel like over the last 10 plus years, I've honed that. It's just been a really good opportunity being able to see clients come back to you and say that thank you so much for capturing that moment in my life, or some other clients really go back to the footage and be like, thank you for capturing this particular moment because something happened in their lives and that particular moment was really relevant for them. So it's just nice, kind of in a way giving back to like the community through the art that I do.
How do you maintain work-life balance as a full-time business owner?
That's a very good question, and I ask myself that every day. I try to stick to a particular routine as much as I can, but I can't say that I follow that all the time. But having like the ground for doing, having the ground for something really helps a lot. So every morning when I wake up, I make sure I have a cup of tea. I make sure that the night before I make a list of everything that I have to do the next day. Definitely a lot of like planning goes into picture. I try to give myself time to like work out and do things for myself, but also have time to spend with my fiance, my dog, my friends, just whenever I can. And I think I'm just also really lucky that I have really understanding people in my life, because sometimes I do tend to enjoy working a lot, and I tend to just get in that zone, and once I'm in the zone, it's just like I'm just there. But yeah, luckily I have really great friends and family that support me, and they don't mind that I do that sometimes.
What does love mean to you? Did that change over the years of doing what you do?
Yes. Love. So when I was living in the Philippines, when I was in high school or in college, I always thought love meant, like two people coming together, living that fairy tale fantasy, happily ever after. But it still is for some people, but at the same time, love, I guess, it's more complicated than it seems, but it's also as simple as it seems. So it's whatever you define it, and for me, I define it as understanding, a lot of patience, and just acceptance. Like once you start accepting people, that's where you really find love. When I work weddings, I always see how much people love each other in the little ways that they care for each other, like the groom holds the dress, and the bride just always updates the groom, or even at bachelorette parties when the bride's always like texting the groom, like even though they're doing separate things, it's like, those love is there in like the little moments that people care for each other and understand each other and are patient and accepting for each other. So it is still like the story, like fantasy. It could be that, but it could also just mean, you two laying on the couch together. Love can also mean just like spending time with your friends at a park. You don't even have to do anything. You don't even have to talk, but yeah, it's just understanding, patience, and acceptance.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having me.